Hey, we're here.
We are here. Oh, we don't have to whisper.
Ben was whispering to me as the intro was playing. I'm like, we could be really loud. Because
I don't know why
we're muted because our amazing producer, Chris Stone from Cast Ahead, who's responsible for all of our podcasting greatness and successes, is always the consummate expert at the wheels, pressing the buttons, making the show happen. So we're so grateful for him and his skills to bring you the show, Lancaster Connects, every week live right here at Gardner's Mattress and More, Lancaster County's favorite mattress store. 14 years in a row. We're always happy to bring you the show each Tuesday, Monday.
Goodness.
Speaking about experts, don't even know the day of the week. Every Monday at 2:00, right here.
You know, it's a strange week. Of course, it's starting out normal, but kids are off school at the end of the week. We got Easter coming up. Next Monday, there's no school, but we will have a podcast, right? So, these weeks where there's something going on with the kids, they don't feel like normal weeks sometimes.
I'm devoid. You have younger kids. I have older kids. I'm true. Devoid of all that. They do their own thing anymore.
They get them.
Mom and dad beg for time with our kids.
That's true.
That's the stage we're in.
That's true.
With teenagers and a 20-year-old.
Yep. That makes sense. They get older.
That happens.
Yep.
Yeah. And then this happens.
Yeah.
It's funny. We look back over the years of our photos. It's like, who's that child in the mattress store?
Right.
So,
oh man.
Yeah. So a little bit of business right up front. Gardner's Mattress and More. We've got our spring decorations up. Thank you to the country peddler. Michelle Ulmer does a fantastic job for us, but spring means spring cleaning. And we have, I believe we've began with about $138,675 worth of closeouts. I believe we're down to like 110,000 or so.
Sold size.
Still have a whole bunch to go. And so you're getting half off all of those models plus an extra 10%. You can go to gardnersmattressandmore.com/sales to get all those details. But if you are looking for an amazing mattress at a budget price, now is the time to take advantage of that. And we can get it in your home. We'd love to be able to help you out. So you can go to the page there, gardnersmattressandmore.com/sales, and learn more about that. This is not an often sale. And it's kind of like, on par with what's coming around the corner. I guess the eclipse is the big news. Which I didn't even,
next week?
I wasn't even really paying attention.
So I was asking Drew about this earlier. I feel like there was an eclipse recently. What's special about this one versus the last one? And apparently it's supposed to be this one only happens every 25 years or something like that. But there's different levels of eclipses, and this one's supposed to be better than the last one.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you need your special glasses. And
I'm just going to look. See what happens.
Well, here it's not supposed to be as good. Maybe there's certain parts of the world where it's better, like out in Pittsburgh or somewhere. I don't know.
Well, it's in April, right?
It's April 8th, I think Drew said. So I wonder if we could do the show from the parking lot.
Yeah.
The eclipse in the back.
Drag the Wi-Fi cord to the parking lot. Or the Wi-Fi cord. Gee whiz. The Ethernet cord.
Wi-Fi cord, that's fantastic.
Sound like a grandpa.
Chris, would an eclipse, I'm talking to the producer, would an eclipse break the podcast? Would it break the podcast?
His answer is going to be yes, because we're just...
We should throw that curveball at him.
Yeah, let's make him work harder.
145.
He's like, yes, sign me up for more work. What was a silly question, right?
I bet he could do it.
Yeah. Well, Chris was responsible for all of the magical connections. We had Brett Michaels call in on the phone.
That's true.
And we were able to pipe him through live through the internet on a live stream show. It was technological feats of strength. It was Festivus in July.
It was, yeah. Yes, it was.
Podcasting feats of strength. At any rate, speaking of strength, we've got a great guest today. So happy to have this connection to Will Kiefer and the Benchmark program. Came from Diana Volo from Swan for Kids. And this really speaks to what the show is about, connecting people in our community, having people connect to us. If we can ever make a connection for you, we're happy to have it. I was able to help Diana out with something last week that's going to put her in the State House, speaking to the Arts Caucus about the powerful connection that music has in education and the wonderful things she's doing with her program. And so
that's very cool.
Yeah, use us for that. if you know somebody that's doing great work in our community, point them here to the show. Let's have them on as a guest. If we can make a recommendation to a guest that's been on our show, please reach out. This is what the show's here for. It's not just for us to have some fun and take a little break, because really this isn't a break. This is just, it's part of our workday, but we want to maximize our efforts here for the community. So without too much further ado, let's bring on Will.
There's Will.
Ben, Jeff, thanks. Thanks for having me on, guys. This is really a neat opportunity, and happy to be a part of the Lancaster Connects family.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to having you on the show since I knew we were going to have you on. And so why don't you just do a quick little introduction, and then we'll get into our discussion.
Sure. So the quick intro is that Benchmark is a fitness-based mentoring program, which means we use this gym setting really as our way to connect with kids. And that means that their guard's down when they come in the door, because they don't feel like this is that traditional therapeutic mentoring space. But over time, we do all the same work. We connect them with positive people who are going to stay around for a long time. And we help them get through school and then also get into the workforce if that's what they need. So it's really all encompassing, but it takes place over the span of years right here in the gym.
And where is that gym?
So you guys are actually getting a little sneak peek. This is the second floor of our building right in downtown Lancaster, 102 South Prince Street. But this is what we call the Women's Strength and Fitness Center. So where I'm at right now, right behind me is a very big group exercise space. Downstairs, we have a ton of strength equipment and boxing equipment, but this is the only spot in our building where we can do big group exercise classes. Think dance, think yoga, mixed martial arts, stuff like that.
Give us a landmark in Lancaster. Where is your facility near?
So you come down, landmark, benchmark. You guys come down South Prince Street, you pass the Fulton Theater, you pass Champ's Barbershop, and that very next light, past the Fulton and past Champ's, you stop at that light and look to the right, you're seeing Benchmark.
Okay, very cool.
So you're right in the heart of downtown.
Yeah, so we've been told that 60% of the school district of Lancaster students are within a 10-minute walk of this facility. So you can't get much better than that.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you're right in the mix of the students and kids you're looking to serve.
Yeah, and right in the mix of a lot of the community violence that we're dealing with. And we're trying to be as supportive as we can and on the front line to our kids who are suffering through that.
Yeah.
So Will, how did you get started with Benchmark?
That's a good question. So, I encourage everyone to think about this. I just loved weightlifting. I love weightlifting, and I was looking for a way to use that to get to know this community. I was here in Lancaster because I was at Franklin and Marshall College, and I was set to graduate and thought, geez, I'm going to leave this town and it's going to be no better for the fact that I was here for 4 years. So I couldn't let that happen. And what I started to do was just show up at the YMCA, start to work out, happened to meet a couple kids there. Those couple kids happened to be on juvenile probation. And that sparked this kind of window that I got into the world of juvenile justice and thought, geez, this after school gym mentoring program, it fills a need. And the program has really grown from that simple start.
Wow. So just the idea, you're in the Y, and walk us through what it took to actually build Benchmark as it exists today. Because obviously it was an idea, and then it was a little bit of action, which we always challenge viewers, watchers, listeners. I guess viewers and watchers are the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Going from that idea to action, and now, you built the foundation, and now you're operating. What did that all look like?
Yeah. Well, I tell you guys, I didn't have a business background at all. I didn't take a single business course in my 4 years at school. And when I was graduating, I was 21 years old. The only reason that I started as a nonprofit is because I needed a way to raise the money to cover the guest passes that I was paying for my original students to keep meeting me at the gym every day. So I walked into this with eyes wide open, but not understanding the landscape of nonprofit business. But what helped me is then getting to know probation officers, our local juvenile court judges, our caseworkers at the Children and Youth Agency, and asking them, what do you need in an extracurricular resource? What are kids looking for that they can't currently get? And building our program around that.
Yeah, really smart. Really smart. So what are we seeing here on screen? This looks like a pretty profound or important moment in the span of Benchmark's existence.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys brought that up. So that's Congressman Smucker sitting on the House Ways and Means Committee down in D.C. said, hey, Benchmark is doing work with a very unique population, not just the kids on, and that's my son, Kenneth. So we're not just working with kids who are on juvenile probation, but kids who are on juvenile probation and involved with children and youth. Think about that. That's a high risk, high need population, and they are regularly served here at our organization. So come down to Capitol Hill, come down to DC and tell us what that population needs. So what you're looking at is us being there and saying really simply one thing. We know what the gold standard is for helping young people who need help. It's having at least one long-term, committed, consistent mentor. You guys think about your own life. I bet you can point back to someone or a couple people who were there for the long run for you. And that's what Benchmark's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And so did you say the second gentleman that we slid over to was your son?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my son, Kenneth. My wife, Carla, and I met him through Benchmark, and he had a couple really tragic things happen in his life. And we were given the opportunity to bring him into our home, to foster him and ultimately adopt him. This young man is on the fast track. I mean, you're talking going from an alternative ed program to an honor roll student at JP McCaskey to a full ride academic scholarship
to Washington
College. No, he's in college now. He's
okay, I was going to say, because the reason I brought it up, it looks like he could put that in his place a little bit.
Yeah. This is a young man who's been to high school nationals in powerlifting, pulled a 600-pound deadlift with no lifting equipment on, just raw natural. So That's a true athlete right there. Yeah, it puts me to shame.
All the times the sportscasters talk about Jalen Hurts and his 600 pounds, your son's like, yeah, whatever. I got that.
He did it at 208. So his body weight was 208 at that point. Really something. And what's cool is you'd be amazed at the number of athletes that are in this facility. Now, they're not eligible for sports in school for a variety of reasons, but they come here and you see some natural talent, unlike anything else in the weight room.
So what does their experience look like from the minute they walk in your door? Well, first I'd want to know how students find you, kids find you, or you find them. And then, what does their experience look like from day one and forward?
Yeah, really good question. So Benchmark has kind of been you're told about it by someone else kind of facility. We really kind of protect the environment for kids who are referred from juvenile probation, children youth agency, or the school district of Lancaster, because those are our partners and they've already identified these kids as high risk. They need Benchmark. So when you walk in the door, this is a very protected space. You have to go through a metal detector to get in. You have to put your bag in the locker. When you get into the gym itself, you are greeted by someone right away. So that person sees you. So you, at least one point in the day, someone saw you, someone said hello to you. And then you get to do what you want. You get to work out, you get to do boxing, do your homework, hang out and watch TV, play video games if you need to, or just hang out and talk with a mentor. But think about, you guys do this, and you do it even when you come to work. There are people that you just enjoy those quick little catch-ups with. And that stuff, like just people asking you, what'd you do this weekend? That goes a long way to building your social network. And we're real keen on that here at Benchmark.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to take a step back, if you don't mind sharing, and if this is a question out of bounds, because it involves your family, but I'd be remiss not to point out, in case our watchers, viewers, and listeners, I'm still trying to decide what the difference between viewer and watchers, but I'm just going to say it each show now because it's funny to me. You adopted one of the kids that came through your gym. I mean, to me, that's a special story. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, certainly. And Kenny has shared this too as well. So it's not secretive information. And, Carla grew up in Ecuador and then moved here to Lancaster as a kid. And so she has deep Lancaster roots. I think she was 8 when she moved here. I came in as an outsider from Gettysburg to go to college and have since stayed. But we rooted ourselves in downtown Lancaster and decided to do this work because at the end of the day, we know that we've done our part to try and make Lancaster even just a little bit better. And, seeing kids who come through like Kenny, who are referred to us because one of the things that can often trigger a referral to Benchmark is parental loss. So Kenny, at a time in his life when he was in middle school, lost both his dad and his older brother. And we were happy to take him into Benchmark. He was a wonderful student, but didn't need a ton from us. He was self-motivated from the start. So we supported him. He was at the gym often, and then we kind of lost touch. But I would see him because Carla and I lived downtown. We lived by Musser Park. So we'd walk around. I'd be walking the dog and I'd see Kenny, and we would check in. How are you doing? How's everything at school? Well, in the middle of COVID, June 2020, Kenny came up to me one day, just walking the dog, and said, "Hey man, I want to let you know I lost my mom." So dad, older brother, and mom, all in the span of a couple years. So what we did as an organization was, and we weren't the only ones working with Kenny. Our Benchmark crew started to go by his house 4 or 5 times a week, drop off food. And then that way we got to know what the situation was. And it came down to, hey, who's going to, the children youth came and took the boys, Kenny and his brothers, out of their house and into their custody. And Kenny was sitting in the detention center. So who's going to foster and adopt a 16-year-old with a record? He did have a juvenile record, which has since been expunged. And who's going to bring that person out? So Carla and I had a little family conference and decided we can do this. And she was, I'm 31 now. So it was almost 4 years ago. And
wow.
Carla and I get a lot of credit for that. But you guys, when you meet Kenny or when you see him or you listen to him on Capitol Hill, you can notice this young man is driving his own train. Like he's got an engine that is roaring, and I can't wait to see where he ends up.
Yeah. And
awesome.
That's just a tremendous story. And you said he's going to school full ride for lifting.
No. So he's actually studying business, believe it or not. He's studying business. He's watched me and Carla do all this Benchmark stuff. That's kind of started the fuel for him. And also he's very entrepreneurial. So, I tell you guys his story because I want a lot of people to know that fostering and adopting kids does not have to be the scary and, sometimes tragic story that you often hear. We had a support network in Benchmark that made our system, our ability to raise him, possible. But I just want everyone to hear that you don't have to be a savior of the community to decide you want to sign up and foster and adopt some kids who need it.
Right.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at what you could do for someone.
Yeah.
So that amazing story. And thanks for sharing. When somebody comes into Benchmark, do they have to be like a member of Benchmark? Like, or can people bring friends or, how does that work?
Yeah, really good question. And what people see at Benchmark is what we call the open gym. So that's Monday through Friday from 5 to 8 o'clock. Really what it means, open gym. We don't have to have a referral to walk in that door. You have to be between 13 and 24, but you can just come in and you get all the same services that we offer in terms of mentoring and school and work. But there's a whole separate section of Benchmark that a lot of people don't know about. And those are more intensive, more individualized services that involve a referral from juvenile probation, going into the detention center to work with kids, providing one-on-one mentor to a kid who's got a firearm related charge. Those are the really intensive and very interestingly, a lot of people don't recognize this. We have a suspension alternative program. So we're actually in McCaskey High School providing an alternative to sending a kid home, because oftentimes we know sending them home doesn't fix the problem. So what you guys are now seeing is the outside of Benchmark. People think, oh yeah, that's the gym where they mentor kids. But the inside, under the hood of Benchmark, is this very purposeful, very long-term kind of guided mentoring experience that kids get involved in. It takes a kid 3 to 6 years to go through all these programs, guys. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep.
Now they wouldn't have to necessarily go through the programs, would they? There could be a pathway, an entry point and an exit point.
Correct. Yeah. They could hop into one program. They do well. They just choose to come back for the open gym later. It's the place that kids can always come back to. And again, how important is that in life for a kid to know that no matter what, at least they can go to Benchmark. At least that's a spot where they know they're welcome.
Yeah. We've got some stats on the screen now in the event that you are just a listener and Jeff hasn't redefined what that experience means for you. 2,500 plus community service hours. We've got on your website, your impact is 62,000 gym hours, 30 jobs procured, 6 college grads, 2,500 community service hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just getting started, as your website says. So what kind of community service work are you doing with these young men? And I guess women, right? You serve both boys and girls, right?
Yep. And an increasing amount of young women as well. So that's a great question. What does it mean to do community service? Here at Benchmark, I just never believed that mopping the floors and cleaning toilets is an effective way to get a kid to reflect on something they did and whether or not they should do it again. So we have community service workers helping us clean this gym, organize these weights, talk to kids. But the most important part of community service at Benchmark is when you're here, I want you to go find somebody else who you think needs this space. You bring them here. You help them work out, do their homework, get a bite to eat. You do that, I'll give you community service hours for that. And that to me is restorative. That to me will fix the problem.
Yeah. Peer-to-peer mentorship.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. Taking a step back to some of the programs you do, I think some folks that might watch this would hear about the suspension alternative program.
Yep.
And be like, wait a minute. So we're not going to suspend a kid. We're going to let him go to gym.
Yep.
Right. And what I'll say before I turn it back to you is, it's my belief the bedrock of education is shifting right now from underneath the feet of and this is not to say our educators are bad. It's just a reality of technology. It's our kids are connecting to things that are moving faster and faster than traditional education can keep up with. Because a lot of education programming comes from the state, federal government top down. Those leaderships typically are slower to act, but yet our kids are on their phone learning new things all the time, seeing things, good, bad, or otherwise, all the time. And their interests are just so much different. And so to send a kid home on suspension, as in Kenneth, right? Your son?
Yep.
In his case, that at the time of losing his mother could just be really, emotionally difficult.
Right.
Plus there is no parent structure anymore, sadly.
Yep.
And so these suspension alternatives are just so much more well-timed and a more modern approach, are they not?
Yep. I think we're going to see a ton more of this. You guys are you think about the education system and think about all the ways they're trying to innovate. But let me ask you this. Hasn't an out of school suspension always been the same thing? Out of school suspension just means you go home. There's no other way to do it until now. And that's because the school district of Lancaster reached out to us and said, hey, these are your kids. What can we do to make this better in here? So here's what it actually looks like. We have our own 2 classrooms in McCaskey. They're Benchmark classrooms. They've got our art up on our staff are in there and our art is up on the wall. We are using what's called an evidence-based practice. So we have lessons guided that break down what was going through your mind when this happened. And let me tell you this, if they are getting a suspension for vaping in the bathroom, it's never about vaping in the bathroom. If they're fighting in the hallways, it's never about the fight in the hallway. So our job as staff is to use this, you guys have heard this before, this trauma-informed approach to getting to the core of the issue. And then here's the coolest part. The kid does 5 days with us. We reintegrate them into the classroom, take them back down there, get them back in, get them caught up on their work. And then we check up on them once a week for 3 months straight. So you don't just get those 5 days. You get a knock on the door, say, hey, can I talk to Johnny? He was in my program 2 months ago. I need to check in on him. And the teachers have been wonderful. So you see the 5-day suspension alternative program, but what you don't see is that long-term follow-up. And guess what? Those kids, they're coming here to Benchmark at night because they have a good relationship with those staff members.
Yeah.
How many students do you have in your open gym, for example, on a nightly basis?
Yep. So right now, really looking at November through to May, Benchmark's in the busy season. So we're going to serve over 70 kids a night here tonight. We'll serve over 70 kids. When you look at all 7 different programs, last week, I'll give you guys some up-to-date numbers. Last week, we served 139 kids across all 7 programs, and 34 of those were young women. So 2 years ago, we would serve 30 kids per week. So we just moved to this new facility. It's kind of sent us to the stars.
That's awesome.
What is the, I was kind of surprised you said you had such a growth in your young women population. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to divulge any personal information or anything. I want you to speak more to a global answer if you can. What's happening there?
Girls have a lot of the same issues that our guys do, and they get a whole lot of less attention for the support of those same issues. So what we decided to do is, look, we got a space downstairs that's full of guys. We know girls are going to want to walk into that. You don't want to walk into a gym full of guys. However, we had this whole second floor. We said, well, girls, we talked to them. What do you want? You want group exercise. You want a nice, comfortable lounge space. You want free weight equipment. You want the TRX straps from the floor. You want your box equipment. Done. I mean, we as a community have really rallied behind what we call now the Women's Strength and Fitness Center, because girls get in trouble with just as much as the guys do. And we have some staff here at Benchmark who work full-time in the school district during the day, and they will tell you a lot of times they're responding to girls who are getting in trouble, just like the guys. But yet, point to me one other fitness-based, strength-based mentoring program for girls, aside from Girls on the Run, which does wonderful work, a running modality. I can't find one.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair too, Girls on the Run is more of a, I don't know that front loaded or front end program is the right terminology, but it's more about, hey, if you love to run and you want to build confidence and you want to gather, with other young women your age, it's a great program. It's not so much a remedial or let's address an issue, a root issue program, right? I mean, your daughter's not. So, wonderful that you're doing that work. And I think young women today have such a whole other set of problems, especially relating to social media.
Yeah. And we're just getting started with it. You're seeing what you guys are seeing now is a little sneak preview of what the space looks like. But I see the future growth of Benchmark being into more programs specifically to meet those needs and interests of young women, which we're just getting started in. So, I mean, I think if Benchmark can do anything, we need to keep responding to the new needs that pop up. We're not here to say, hey, we've got the rule book now. Let's just keep running this thing. You guys know that doesn't work. It doesn't work for any kids. You have to adapt with them.
One of the things, there was a graphic on the screen, and one of the things that we found out in research of having you on the show, I know a number of students who have been through your program are now employees, employees, and are now, taking what they've learned through the program and infusing that in kids that are going through the program. And I think one of the graphics was there's something like 30 some jobs that you've helped students procure as part of being part of the program. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, how can I send one of my students over to work for you guys if I haven't employed them first? I wouldn't do it. I want kids to, you guys know, what were those things that you learned in your first job? You learned what not to wear to work, what not to say at work, how to show up on time, how to handle performance feedback from your boss. I want kids to learn that stuff here, get a nice chunk on their resume that describes all the work they've done here. And then I'm going to call you up and say, hey, I've got the perfect student. I'm going to send them over. Let me bring them over so we can do a quick on-the-spot interview. And you guys are going to feel more comfortable hiring a Benchmark student when I can say I employed them for 6 months to a year and they did a great job. And so, it's one thing to just be helping a kid rip Indeed resumes off to all, or it's another thing to call the employer and say, hey, this is Will Kiefer from Benchmark. We have a student leadership program. I've employed this young man or this young woman for the past year, and I think they'd be perfect for your business. Would you mind if we came in just to meet you? And people are saying, yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's really fantastic.
So
just a fantastic extension and part of the programming there. Yeah, that's really great. I wonder how I mean, how many students have you had come through overall over the 10 years?
It's well over 1,000 now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but I got to tell you guys this is what makes me smile. It's taken a while to get to this point, but I can go into the detention center tomorrow and I can look at the students who are currently incarcerated there, and I can tell them that if they stick with me, they can go from in detention to employee at Benchmark program in the matter of a few years. And I'm not just making that up for them. I can actually show them the step-by-step process to move through our programs to get a job here. I mean, you talk about mentoring for these kids who need it the most. That's the kind of stuff you got to get them pumped up about. Man, this guy's trying to help me, but one day I can work with him and help other kids like me. That's enticing.
Yeah, that's really great. Really is. So, I mean, my mind's like kind of spinning in the fact of your format of delivery of programming, the way you support kids. Obviously, kids that are at need benefit from your mentorship isn't exclusive to just school district of Lancaster and McCaskey, right? It could really be any school, any town, any city. Yeah. So what's on the horizon? Are you looking to scale this and create a baton, pass it off to other people in other communities?
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer of expansion is certainly a not yet, because we got a good thing going here. We got a lot more work to do here in Lancaster. So we spend most of our day looking at how can we make things better here. But I will tell you guys what we're working on, which is we've developed some really fun, engaging, what we call scenario-based training. So if you guys were ever interested, you said, Will, I want to come and want to sit in on one of those trainings and see what you guys are actually dealing with. You could come down here and listen to a staff training and understand what we do when a probation officer calls us and says, hey, one of your students, I have knowledge that one of your students is likely gang affiliated and has access to firearms. What do you do with that information as a Benchmark staff member? How do you handle the conversation with your student? How do you respond to the probation officer? That kind of training, that shows the operating system of Benchmark. I think we have a quicker access to expand that training, that operating system, to other communities and other organizations before we start lifting this organization up and going somewhere else. I mean, that's too far down the road. While that training, I think just knowing you guys in a short amount of time here, I think you'd really enjoy that. Like it would open your eyes to. And how often do you get to sit in with an organization in your community that shows you, hey, this is how we do it? You want to learn? Come sit in on one of these trainings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you're educating the community too, and people are seeing what the actual real problems are. Yeah. Not reading a headline, not getting a social media snippet, not seeing an aggregated stat. It's you're seeing a living person in front of you who, has real issues, real problems. You're seeing real people in front solving those problems right in the front line. That's very cool.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you guys have seen it too. You get the newspaper articles. There was just one recently that had 6 young people convicted of firearm related crimes. I looked at that thing and I saw 2 of my guys, one of which you wouldn't know this from looking at him, but one of which is a college graduate. He has a full-time HVAC job, making a ton of money, carries a firearm because he feels like he needs protection. He's going to go back to work. He's going to do work release during his whatever sentence he is. But you're not going to get that from the paper. So we encourage people to get to know these kids.
Can you talk a little bit more about your staff there? I know there's, some staff members who have been through the program and have worked for you, but just talk a little bit about the staff and the people that help you out.
Excellent question. I think what I'll point to is that we've made this concerted effort to look at people and say, we see your professional credentials, but we also see your life experiences. And I'm going to try and weigh those 2 things equally so that I'm okay. And we often do take someone with a completely different career experience if they have a similar shared life experience with our students. And by the time we hire people like that, Sometimes it's the first time that they've been told, hey, that stuff that happened to you, that crazy stuff, that's actually a tool that you can use to mentor you. If you come here to this organization, we can take those life experiences and you can turn them around, give them to other kids so that they don't have to go through what you went through. And that is an eye opener for people who have often been told, hey, because of your record, you can't work at this youth serving organization. Now we have all of the safety boundaries that prevent us from hiring anyone who's ever hurt children before. But within reason, we have people who have lived experiences doing the mentoring work.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
It seems like within the business community here in Lancaster, how aware are they of the intervention that you're doing and the types of students and ultimately young adults and adults you're producing? How aware are they of your work, and how do we get them connected to you, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. Well, what you guys are doing here is wonderful and helps us on that path. But in truth, there are a lot of people who do not know what Benchmark is. They drive down South Prince Street and they see a big gray building with our logo on it and think, maybe that's the construction company. They think of us as Benchmark Construction.
Yeah.
You know what I want? I want people to come down here one night after work, sometime between 5 and 8, and just get a look at what the gym looks like, full of kids who are having a good time, working out and spending time with their mentors. That's what I want. There could be no better way to get to know our organization than to come by. Even if you stop by for 15 to 20 minutes one night, your eyes will be opened to how we do what we do. And that's what I want. I'm happy to go through the details of stuff for people who want to know what's the curriculum, what are the lessons, what's the timeline, what are the outcomes. We can do that. But having you here to walk in the gym and get that feel, then you'll understand what we're doing.
Yeah. Very cool. I mean, you almost have like a little employment incubator in some of your programming, right?
Yeah, we do. I think
returns.
Yeah, I am anti any program that's going to provide a great intervention for 3 to 6 months and then say, all right, kid, your life's set. Yep. Make sure you don't do that again. Do good now. Who needs that? Who needs that in their life?
Right.
Who needs a positive person for just a little bit of time and then you're back on your own?
Yeah. Especially when you may live in a world of negativity.
Yeah.
A world of poor influence. A world of lacking influence.
Yep.
You need a place like Benchmark every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you guys, as employers, as business owners in the community, you need to feel comfortable and trustworthy of the people you're going to bring into your team. So my job as Will from Benchmark is to knock on the door, to be the first person to say, this is me, this is who I am, this is the organization, and here's the young person that I'm dying for you to meet. And you guys deserve great young talent at your organization. And I'm saying to people, although these kids have gotten in trouble, you would be amazed at the kind of talent that they bring to any business, whatever that is. And my hope is that I can just keep building those connections, like with you guys and with others, so that they give our kids this chance.
Yeah. Love it, man. I love all the work you're doing there. Like I said, I was so excited to get you here on the show with us. So we've had Benchmark's information on screen. It's in our show notes with the show. What do you need from the community to support the programming there? This is your chance to ask, and you can be shameless about it.
Yeah. Well, if I was to ask shamelessly, I would say that if people if they want to make real impact, that they should consider giving me one night, 1 hour out of their week to show up here so that I can connect them with someone who might benefit from what they know, or that they can just see this. We take donations. We're a nonprofit. Of course we take donations. I will put that towards food for the kids, towards academic needs that the kids have. I'll buy more gym equipment with it. And that's all wonderful. But that stuff will fade. What won't fade is a connection, a powerful connection that someone creates and sustains with one of our students. That's the kind of stuff that will change the trajectory of this whole city. That's what I want.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It is. And it echoes what we talk about here often on the show is people like Will running great organizations that will always be happy to take your donation. I love how you shamelessly said, just give me an hour. Time, right? Time, talent, and treasure. And, maybe some of your treasure is, maybe you've been down a road where some of Will's kids have been down. And, you could supplement. I mean, I'm not speaking for you, Will, here, but, if somebody came with tremendous life experience that has their own business or is leading in other ways in other parts of the city and town or surrounding areas, I'm sure you would welcome some of their expertise and that, at least that connection. And it's that time. That time is so important. So let's try to give that hour to Will and his amazing students that are coming through Benchmark.
Thanks, Ben, Jeff. This is something, and that would be an impact that would last a lifetime.
Love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. Will, thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for making Lancaster your home and for deciding to stay 10 years ago and really leading by example the way you do. I mean, you put it, I really respect the heck out of people that put their actions and words together. Adopting Kenneth, that says a lot to me. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we do something here called the Connection Cocktail, where we get to know you as the person a little bit better. If that's
no drinks.
If that's what, there's no drinks.
Except for on the screen.
Except for on the screen. Yeah. Imaginary drinks.
Right.
And real quick before we get into the questions, you mentioned something about food at the gym. Do you, and it's 5 days, do you provide a meal for the boys or kids going through the program?
Yeah. And like tonight, we have a volunteer coming down. Ann Fulton, a good friend of ours. Ann's going to come down and cook. So she asked the kids what they want. They want to do some breakfast food. So tonight at Benchmark, they're making egg tacos and overnight oats to take home with them for breakfast tomorrow. So
what's an egg taco?
You guys, here's what an egg taco is. This is mind blowing to me. We cook the egg in the pan. We put a little cheese on it. And as it's cooking, we drop a tortilla on top of it. And then that tortilla adheres to that egg. We can flip it over, put a little bit of ham in the middle, maybe avocado, fold it in half. Egg taco.
You got it.
Egg taco.
Yeah. Egg taco.
See, okay. All right. So there is
inspiration from Benchmark.
Yeah. Look at that.
Very cool.
All right. Cool.
Real quick before we move on, do your kids like cheesesteaks?
Oh my gosh. Yes. They like cheesesteaks. They like anything that you're going to bring here that's going to expose them to something that's not the ramen and the cup of noodles and the Easy Mac that we often serve. Because we got to have that. We got to have that quick food too.
All right. I'm going to see if I can't come cook cheesesteaks for you guys.
Oh, we would love that. We would love that.
Bring the Blackstone out and see if we can't make it happen.
Don't promise that if you can't do it, because that would be a hit.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do it right here. I promise we'll make it happen. So we'll line up.
Awesome.
We'll line it up after the show, and we'll make an event out of it.
You're very proud of your cheesesteak.
I make a good cheesesteak.
It's a darn good.
I'm just saying, we'll do a whole little bar, and I'm not a cheesesteak purist where I will, if a kid wants marinara, they can have it. If they want mushrooms and onions, they can have it. If they want cheese whiz, they can have it.
Will you allow ketchup?
If that's what they want.
If that's what they want.
We'll put it to the test. Might get a little bit of judgment, but, but yeah, we'll do it up. All right. I'll promise that. We'll make that happen.
Thank you. We'll do it.
We'll make that happen.
All right. Well, we want to know, do you have a role model? Gosh, role model. Yeah. Role model. I mean, obviously, you talked when we started the show about mentors and somebody in your life, and we want to know who your role model is.
I've got a ton. I'm going to give you guys one right off the top of my head from a book I just read. The guy's name is Chuck Feeney. The book is called The Billionaire Who Wasn't. And he is the guy that started the duty-free shops in all of the airports. And he is one of the only people to ever, while living, give away the entirety of his fortune. His name is Chuck Feeney, and the book is called The Billionaire Who Wasn't.
Interesting. Very cool.
Sounds like a great book. You have to check that out.
Worth a read. Yep. I just strongly recommend it. So it was $4 billion, and he quietly put it in a foundation called the Atlantic Foundation. They gave it all away. Get this, guys. You'll find this interesting. His whole thing was, why would I give little chunks of money over time to solve a problem? Why don't I just give a big chunk right now?
Right.
Let's fix this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good
Very
question.
smart. Very smart. You got anything? I mean, you give a lot to Benchmark and the kids that come through. You obviously need to refresh and recharge. You have any fun vacation or travel coming up that you're looking forward to?
I got to tell you guys, I'm a big skier. Skiing is being on the mountain is one of the only times I can get my brain to detach from regular work stuff. So when I go out to ski, I really enjoy it. Plus, my family, for every year of my life, I'm 31, I have never missed a year of Bethany Beach. You get 1 week at Bethany Beach every year in June. I never miss that.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got it at each end of the spectrum there. You've got the sun and the sand and the cold and the snow. Very cool.
I try not to give anyone a reason to feel sorry for me. I've got a very good life.
There you go. There you go. All right. Tough one. If you could describe Lancaster community or county in one word or one sentence, what would it be?
Changing.
Okay.
Changing. In a lot of ways that are good, and also in a lot of ways that are challenging. I mean, we have a lot of problems here, but I'm a firm believer that these are problems we can solve. So you guys are witnessing it. I'm witnessing it even in the short time I've been here. And I consider the last 10 years to be short. We got a lot of change we've got to deal with.
Yeah.
Very well stated. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're up to the challenge. And thank you for that.
Yeah. You know what, guys? I'm having fun. And I don't mind doing all the work that I do. The team doesn't mind because we smile a lot and we laugh a lot. We are cracking jokes every day at Benchmark. And if I wasn't having fun, I think it would be a lot more challenging to do this kind of work.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Very good. Will, this has been a pleasure. Thank you
guys,
for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you both for being willing to ask good questions. Thanks.
I will be out here soon. We've got some stuff at home that I have to navigate, but I will hold my word on the cheesesteak thing and we'll do it upright. Ben knows he's had.
Oh, yep. There.
So we will do it upright and have a lot of fun with it too.
But we will impress you with the quantity of cheesesteaks that we can
eat
at Benchmark. Yes, we will surprise you.
All right.
Let's see, 70 kids.
I'll have to do my research for the best way to get all that meat and the rolls, because it's all about the roll. But we'll make it happen.
I'll bring it.
I bet you we could find a local grocer to help us with that, because
it's not that. It's just about finding. I'm very particular on the ingredients, so I have to find the level of ingredients that commensurate with the number of mouths to feed. But we'll figure that out. That's just all semantics. We'll figure it out.
Understood. I'm here for it.
All right. Very good. Will, with benchmarkprogram.org, helping kids just do a lot of great things and helping our Lancaster County and Lancaster City area that's changing and that's challenging, move forward in a positive way, in an impactful way. Thank you for everything you're doing. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Jeff. This has been a real treat. And I hope this adds to the community.
It most definitely does. Thanks, Will.
See ya.
Man, that was really great.
Yeah. I mean, so often, I think I've said this before on the show, like you could feel the heart of the person coming through, and it's amazing.
Beat through the screen.
Yeah. 100%.
And speakers. In case you were watching her. Which was another word I made.
Yeah, let's go back a few years, I think.
Yeah, I'm watching. That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's why we do this show right here. I really hope people can connect to this one. You know, we never know exactly who's listening or who's watching at any given time. But the beautiful thing about what we do here is really this lives forever, this show. And so maybe down the road, a parent's got a kid who's really struggling, and as technology improves, the AI of everything aggregates all of our comments, and that this episode shows up as a search result and helps. That's what's cool about what we're doing here. At Gardeners, we believe in our community. We believe in our business. We don't think about just today. We think about tomorrow and the next year and the next 5 years beyond. And Lancaster Connects is part of that. So we're happy to do it.
Very cool.
On that note, my sleep better tip, I'm just going to say, and caught a little bit unprepared, but I'm going to wing it. I'm going to say, do good things. Be like Will. Seriously, like take action on goodness in your life and in your circle. And I guarantee you'll sleep better doing that, because you'll go to bed feeling fulfilled. You'll go to bed feeling connected to whatever your world is. You'll know you've done well, and then do that again tomorrow. So do good things. That's my sleep better tip.
I loved what Will said at the beginning of the show, like when we first brought him on, and he said he went to school for 4 years and he was about to leave Lancaster, and he didn't want to leave Lancaster without leaving some kind of mark. And that's a pretty cool thing to realize and bring to life.
Will Kiefer has a legacy.
Yeah.
Even if Benchmark were to stop today or tomorrow, which would be the last thing we want. But if it were to stop, there is, how many kids do they say? 1,000 at least?
Over 1,000.
How many lives do those kids' lives connect to?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have children as they grow up and get older, and they're going to have families. And so it's not 1,000 people. It's tens of thousands of people.
Yep.
And all because he just said one little challenge statement to himself. I love that.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing that up again.
Yeah. Well, 100%. All right. Testimonial time here. Gardner's Mattress and More. Right here on Plausible. Yeah, I just slapped my knee.
It's not a testimonial if you don't slap the knee either. Yeah. He gave it a shooter.
So Tom gave us a little Google review here. Like I expect you to see what's on my screen there. His first comment was an exclamation point statement of excellent family-run store.
That's right.
That's it. Family over there at the desk, at the sales desk, and on the delivery crew. Drew was so kind and helpful during our visit and provided no pressure, informative data. We felt like we were cared for and would heartily recommend Gardner's to everyone. So short, straightforward, to the point. But I love the fact that they called out the family vibe here, right? The family run experience, and that's we try to treat all of our customers as if they were our own family. And that shows in our happy customer reviews. So
that's right. That's right. And I showed Ben, I don't know that we've shared this on the show, but Ben and I consult and speak into and lead our industry. And so later this week, I'm in Ohio at an event, and I showed Ben an equation that I'm going to be talking about.
It was algebra.
Yeah. It was like, for me, is, if you know me, I'm like, it's terrible at math.
You typed it out and your pen exploded.
I can do business math.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. I broke the spreadsheet when I typed this one in, but part of that equation was about challenging our peers to be focused on being a leader in their community, all while focusing on things one customer at a time. So yes, Ben always reads the reviews, and I read the Sleep Better tips, and we have a lot of great reviews, both on Google, on Facebook, and we get these sheets that Ben sometimes shows that get sent in.
Testimonials.
All of that's fantastic, but it means nothing to you if you're the one customer that doesn't have a 5-star experience.
Right.
And so that's where our focus is. And later this week, I'm speaking to that effect of delivering an exceptional 5-star customer experience. So I just wanted to share that, because we never lose sight of the fact that we read these great reviews, and that's fantastic. And we're honored to get them. And we're grateful that people take the time out of their day to share their experience with others. But if we let you down as the next person in the store, that's a very bad thing, because all that stuff doesn't matter. 14 years in a row, Reader's Choice favorite, doesn't matter to the next person in the store if they get a 2-star experience or a 1-star experience. And so it's always 5 stars here all the time. That's our core focus every hour of every day.
Yep. You've preached that over and over, that we have to re-earn it every day.
Every day. Yep. Like Groundhog Day. But like in a good way.
Yeah.
For our customers.
That's right.
But it's what it is.
And speaking of,
oh, you're going to tease it.
Yeah. We've got a Whistle Pig themed show coming up in at least a few weeks.
See, if we were
coming up soon,
if we were smarter podcast hosts, we would have done that back in February on Groundhog Day.
This is true.
But then it would have been confusing, because we're saying whistle pigs and woodchucks, but then we would have made it all clear on the show that they're all the same thing.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And there might be a special announcement about how.
Got to dig into the Lancaster Connect archives to figure out what I was just talking about there.
Yeah.
Or just tune in.
But yeah, exactly.
A couple of weeks. So without too much further ado, we'll wrap up. Thank you for watching the show. As I said at the beginning of the show, we got a great big clearance event going on. Fantastic way to get an amazing mattress at a discounted price. None of this is inflated up to market down. It's all 50% or more off of our regular everyday low prices. You can go to gardnersmattressmore.com/sales to learn all those details, but we'd love to be able to get you an amazing mattress at a discount price and help you find the right fit. And so that's going on now. And I guess that's this show. Amazing show with Will. Will is doing amazing things with his benchmark program downtown. So benchmarkprogram.org. I believe it's, yes, benchmarkprogram.org, where you go for information on that. Until next time, we'll see you all next week on Lancaster Connects. Take care.